Hi, I'm Zach. Welcome back to my channel where I do readings using my original cards that I made. So most of the cards have characters from my game Monster Garden. In the past few videos, I explained all of the main characters and some of the extra characters in my game that are on cards. But there's also some cards in my deck that have these illustrations of human characters, which are different characters from manga or stories that I drew. So I'm going to start introducing those in the next few videos. And so the four I'm showing today have a really funny backstory. These are from a comic that I started drawing 13 years ago in 2007 about a world where people get magical powers from eating delicious food. So you can kind of get that food theme from this one. He is this genius chef who understands food chemistry so well and can concoct masterpieces. So I planned out a long manga with these characters. I never finished it, but I worked on one or two chapters of it, and just the characters and story took on a life of their own in my head, and they started to develop some significance that I felt like made them suitable for cards. So the manga takes place in a world where people get superpowers from eating delicious food, and these people are called super tasters. So the idea is they can taste even more deeply than the average person. And so they get magical powers from how good the food is, like superpowers. They can fly around or lift up heavy things or whatever. So the main character is this one. She was named Bula, and she was a super taster. But in this world, the evil government or the empire has removed all flavor from food. So no one knows anything about food's power anymore. And even if there are super tasters, they don't realize that they have any abilities because they're just eating flavorless gruel all the time. But this character, he's the clear perception character. He somehow figured out through his research that there used to be this ancient power of flavor from food, but he's not a super taster himself, but he's just researched thoroughly all the recipes and the ways to create delicious food, and he's on the search for a super taster that can taste the foods he's cooking, and together they can unlock the power of flavor and bring it back to the world. So she is a super taster he meets, and they become the main two characters. He cooks the food, and she eats it and gets superpowers. So whereas he's kind of cold and calculating, or not really in a bad way, but he sees straight to the core of the issue, just analyzing his recipes. She's the more joyful one, taking pleasure in food, enjoying things. So over time, she just came to represent like this life savoring, loving energy of just taking delight in things. And this card in readings represents just a message that you're on the right track, you're doing fine, don't question yourself or feel bad, just embrace it. Because her character just embraces this food power she discovers. She's not afraid of it or ashamed of it or scared of it. She just loves to try delicious foods and see what powers she gets and stuff like that. Whereas this card represents seeing right to the core of the issue, being totally honest with yourself, even to an intimidating level of just brutal honesty. So they are a nice balance of the main two characters, this clear perception and then the loving, supportive energy. So in the story, in the comic, they meet up and they begin a journey to bring flavor back to the world. And the way they do that is visiting these flavor shrines where the power of flavor has been sealed inside, and they have to unleash flavor and restore it back to the world. So it might sound like a video game or anime if you're familiar with those, and I was probably really inspired by video games and things like that. And so along their journey, they meet other super tasters. Another one they meet, the other two characters are like members of the Empire, so they're more on the side of the bad guys at first. This guy is like an Imperial soldier, so he's strong and, being a soldier, but he slowly starts to discover, as the other two characters unlock the power of flavor, he starts to discover this weird sensation when he's eating the gruel that's provided by the imperial government. He has weird feelings when he's eating it, and he starts to realize he has these abilities other people don't have. But unlike Bula, who just embraces this delightful power, he's like ashamed and embarrassed, and is hiding this gross and confusing feeling that he has when he eats food, but secretly explores it. Maybe he finds some foods that actually make him feel good and give him powers, and unlike the boring, flavorless gruel they always have to eat. So this card actually represents going through like difficult experiences, maybe that you just keep to yourself, but kind of working through them and figuring yourself out in the process of it. And after you get through this difficult experience, you have like deep self-knowledge and knowing and understanding that other people might not have if they haven't been through the same thing. So this card's all about like your personal experience and just your perspective and knowledge you gain from that, and things that you can never share with other people. Even if you tell them a story, they won't understand because it's a matter of experience, especially like difficult experiences and introspective time and even introverted. So a friend noted this is an unusual way to depict knowing and understanding because he looks like this strong, powerful person. But in fact, it's about like he looks perfectly strong on the outside as a soldier, but on the inside he's having these struggles and coming to terms with things. So that's what this card represents and is about. Then the other character, she is like high ranking up in the Empire. She's like the genius daughter of some Imperial commander or something. And she's carrying out her own research, like this other guy, but he's like rebelliously carrying it out in secret. And she's carrying it out with all the knowledge and facilities of the Empire. And at first working for them, like, yes, I'll get to the bottom of this mysterious illness spreading throughout the land and make sure that the people don't, gain too much power or do anything that, starts a revolution or threatens the Empire's power. But then secretly, she gets really interested in it because she realizes, actually, this flavor stuff is interesting. They could use these powers to make all kinds of inventions. And so she becomes just a really confident, extremely knowledgeable character. She's like this character in that she's very like a genius of cooking, but also she has all this other experience and insider knowledge of the Empire and this kind of authority and confidence that comes from that. So she's a little bit of a know-it-all who marches around correcting people and telling them what's what, but no one can deny that she actually does know what she's talking about. She has access to more research materials than the others had, and all this insider info, and she's a genius cook, and she's a super taster. So she's kind of got it all going on. And this card represents when you just are a natural leader and you need to embrace that position. Like she, with all of her wisdom and experience, she's really helping the team. They need her to step up and be a leader, even if they're annoyed by her personality. She's just got it going on, and some people they fit into the leadership role naturally, and they need to embrace it. So this card is about not being an unwilling leader, but embracing that role and embracing being in a position of power to use that to help everyone and be a good leader. So that's the basic 4 characters of the game. I never even got to the part of the story where these 2 characters appear. I just drew the first 2 chapters. I planned out like 8 other chapters in detail and stuff, but I just stopped working on it after a while, unfortunately. I'd love to finish it. And so that's why her character's card isn't even colored in, because I had her in my head and in these sketches, but I'd never drawn her character so like a full color illustration. So I drew this about 2 weeks ago to add her to the deck. These other characters I had drawn like 10 years ago. After I'd planned out the manga, I drew their character design illustrations as practice to, for drawing practice and to work on the comic a bit more. And that's as far as I went with the comic. So then the whole project disappeared for 10 years. Then little did I know I'd be bringing them back to life through this monster card reading project. So I'm so excited to be finally putting them to use and getting a chance to talk about their backstories and everything. So yeah, that's the basic characters. I should also explain them in reverse. In reverse, this card can be about being overwhelmed with having to support and encourage other people. Like it's normally a very positive thing, like an encouraging parental figure or teacher who's just encouraging you to do a good job, who in their eyes you can do no wrong. They're just like looking out for you and encouraging you. But this can be about when you're in a position where you just are burdened by having to support and encourage people, and maybe you would rather offload some responsibilities, or maybe you need to criticize people and you can't just be like this all the time. Or it could be a situation like a job where you don't feel supported and encouraged. And as always, the reversed positions can really mean a lot of things. But something about the opposite of this type of situation, either you can't be this way, or you want to be this way, or trying to be this way, or learning to be this way. It really depends on the situation with the reversals. But with this one in reverse, it could be that there's a lot of things distracting you and preventing you from really seeing things clearly. So, maybe you need to take a break to really just get things figured out, get your head on straight, and see what's really going on. It can mean a lot of different things. And of course, this character's a cook, so sometimes people getting the readings note that it has some relevance for them related to the food aspect. And same for the other character when I explained the food backstory. So I personally love food. Obviously, it has a huge role in our lives. So yeah, the cards can have any kind of connotations in a reading, down to the smallest detail. That's what I love about doing readings with these illustrated cards. Like, there's the meaning of the card. There's also just the way the characters look, and those can inspire some kind of message for me or for the person getting the reading. And that's always fun to see how that plays out. This character in reverse can be that you're actually in the middle of that difficult experience that is a learning experience and will lead to the understanding and the knowing in the future. But right now you're in the thick of it. So it's like things might feel tough and suck right now, but you're learning some crucial experience that when you come out the other side, then you'll have a lot more knowledge and beautiful, positive experiences that even if they're just for you, it'll give you some kind of personal treasure out of these hard times. But it's basically a good message of like, you're going to get through this. And then when you get through it on the other side, you'll have a lot of knowledge and experience that strengthens you. So this card is about strength. It's just that it's about inner strength, not just superficial strength. And he happens to have both, I guess, external and internal strength. And so the idea is that this knowing and understanding and experience is a form of strength. Usually we think of strength as just like physical or just naturally somehow being quote unquote strong on the inside. But I think real enduring strength is when you really have this deep experience and knowledge and that wisdom of understanding of having gone through things, more so than just somehow being quote unquote strong naturally. A lot of that times just means you can grin and bear it, which is a form of strength, but it's not really sustainable or as enduring as this real strength of experience, which that character is about. And then this character in reverse, that can be when you're forced to take the lead and you don't want to, you're an unwilling leader, or someone else is kind of being an unwanted commanding presence, telling everyone what to do, but they don't have the deep wisdom and experiences that this character has. And I'll have to do a fully colored in version of her illustration in the future. She's still black and white for now. And she also appears in my other educational food comic. I did an educational food comic called Lord Lactose that is about food science. So there's only about 10 episodes of the comic, and I'd like to draw more, but it explains the food chemistry behind cooking, different little fun facts, because I was reading this book about the science of cooking. And so she and some other characters were explaining the food science, and she, again, was playing the role of this genius who just walks in and lectures people on the facts. And although they might be annoyed, like, she is blowing their minds with the amazing facts, so she's still kind of a important leader character nonetheless. So yeah, that is these 4 cards and characters. That was really fun to talk about them again. And I'll do some more videos about the other human characters in my deck. I really hope you're enjoying these videos where I explain the cards in more detail. I hope it gives you some insight that lets you enjoy the readings more. I do have another playlist on my channel of the readings using these cards. I hope you'll check those out if you haven't already. And I hope you'll subscribe to my channel, and please leave any comments in the comment section, questions about the cards or characters, questions about the whole monster card reading project or anything like that, ideas for questions for readings that you would like to see. Just feel free to comment whatever you want. And thank you for watching this, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.